father of Hollywood.com, along with TruthWins.com, presents Dreamland, New Beginnings, written by Dr. Galen Whitley Keith, narrated by Keith Whitley. Chapter 8. The train screeched its arrival with a trembling rush of steam, shuddering as it eased into the platform of Los Angeles Union Station. Passengers pressed forward with their trunks and valises, their voices blurring into the mingled accents of Yankees, Southerners, Chinese workers, and Mexican ranchers whose lives all converged at this growing outpost of the Pacific frontier. Samuel Ross disembarked with the dignified air of a Philadelphian gentleman abroad, his hand firm beneath his niece's arm. Gigi followed lightly, skirts swaying, her golden hair catching the midday sun. She turned at once to smile graciously at the conductor, then drew in a deep breath of the strange new place. The scents of orange blossoms mingled with the harsher tang of dust and horseflesh. The station was nothing like Philadelphia nor Chicago. It felt at once raw and radiant, a crossroad where futures might be claimed. Behind them, unnoticed among the departing crowd, stood a tall man whose eyes followed Gigi with deliberate calm. Hobart Johnstone Whitley, at that moment a stranger but already bound to her by threads invisible to both. By afternoon, a buggy delivered Samuel and Gigi before the Pico House, Los Angeles' proudest hostelry. Its facade seemed to rise endlessly, arches and balconies filling the plaza with grandeur rare in the West. "It is larger than I imagined," Gigi whispered, gazing up at the great windows and the ornate lettering in gold across the entrance. "They say it holds 80 rooms and a French restaurant as fine as any in Europe. Dining there will feel most continental." She smiled, delight dancing at the thought, and Samuel squeezed her arm with paternal patience. "We shall stay the night and tomorrow ride to Santa Monica. The ocean is worth the journey, and I promised you would see the Pacific with your own eyes." The driver tipped his hat as Samuel tossed him a coin. "Your luggage, sir?" "Yes," Samuel replied. "Take it inside. We'll see you at daybreak for tomorrow's excursion." The buggy rattled off. Samuel steered Gigi toward the tall, carved doors of the hotel. "Browse if you like while I arrange the rooms." The lobby was alive with wonder to Gigi's eyes. Marble floors shining beneath gas lamps, magnificent mirrors drawing the light higher, and a broad staircase rising to the upper floors. She drifted to the courtyard where an aviary of exotic birds trilled under the arches, their colors dazzling against the bright tiles. At the desk, Samuel settled their arrangements with a serious hand. But not far away, two men observed him with ill-contained interest. Joe Preston and Frank Thompson, rough-looking travelers with greed folded into their very expressions. They exchanged a glance as Samuel returned his wallet to his coat, too heavy with money for men like them to ignore. Samuel collected the room key as the driver passed their trunks to the clerk. "Now," the clerk said affably, "if you seek your niece, sir, you may find her in the courtyard admiring our birds." Samuel chuckled and nodded. As he moved through the lobby, he passed an unassuming gentleman seated with a paper. H.J. Whitley lowered his eyes upon Gigi for one brief moment, an unexplainable pull upon his heart. He watched quietly as she and Samuel ascended the staircase until at last they vanished from sight. Night drew over Los Angeles. In their suite, steam rose delicately from the bath where Gigi lay beneath soap bubbles, her golden hair pinned loosely as she closed her eyes. For once, her thoughts spread driftless, free from fear or prophetic dreams. She lingered in stillness until a firm knock jolted the air. "Yes?" she called, her voice languid. Samuel's muffled voice answered. "I have made reservations for 7. It is past 6:30. You must be ready." "The water is warm," she replied, smiling. "I'll soak a few minutes more." "We will be late," he chided in his gruff way. "Then we shall be late." "We are paying customers." She leaned back again, and Samuel, shaking his head, moved on. The Pico House's French restaurant glittered that evening, chandeliers scattering soft light onto the linen, violin music carrying across the hum of conversations. Tiled floors gleamed beneath the shuffle of servers. It was the gathering place of a city striving to define itself as more than frontier. At one table sat H.J. Whitley with General Harrison Gray Otis, publisher of the Los Angeles Times. Otis's port wine glass set before him glowed in the lamplight. Their dinner had ended, yet their words carried the force of futures debated. "My work will soon conclude in Dakota," H.J. said, his eyes alight with quiet fire. "But my future lies here. I rode out across the Cahuenga Valley today. I saw a spot where a town might rise, a dreamland like no other. I am already negotiating the land." Otis stroked his goatee skeptically. "Dreamland?" he chuckled. "What is it you intend, Whitley? A wife or a town?" "Both, perhaps," H.J. answered with a small smile, though his eyes held gravity. "The town first, the wife. She will come." He gathered his coat and leaned over the table. "You will see soon enough." They parted with a toast to tomorrow's breakfast, and as H.J. strode from the dining room, his eyes caught sight of Samuel and Gigi entering just then. The maitre d', spotless in white, took Samuel's name with a bow and guided them toward a table. Gigi followed her uncle, the lamplight catching the golden halo of her hair. For a trembling instant, H.J. froze, drawn to her as though some ghost of memory demanded he not look away. He watched her sit, eyes calm but inexorably fastened to her, until he forced himself to turn and go, though his thoughts lingered behind. Later, Samuel and Gigi ate amid laughter and pianoforte music. Silver gleamed against porcelain, candles flared above, yet shadows pressed in memory. "Uncle," Gigi said softly, breaking a roll apart, "perhaps I should tell you of the dream. Mary knows already. At the train station there were men armed, and I screamed. A stranger stood between me and them." Samuel studied her with deepening lines about his eyes. He raised his glass of whiskey before answering. "Your mother had the same gift of foresight. I have long believed what we see ahead is not given to be avoided. If already foreseen, then it must be endured." "But what if it foretells change?" Her fingers trembled. Samuel nodded gravely. "Change we cannot yet fathom. Strange, is it not, that I should be here, of all places, attending you westward? The dream may prove true, Gigi, and if it does, it will change our lives forever." He leaned back, weary but resolved. "I am older, but not helpless. Whatever comes, I will protect you." Gigi fell silent, studying the candle flames. Yet the certainty she carried in her heart was less comfort and more weight of burden to walk forward, to meet her destiny. And somewhere she knew the stranger in her dream had already crossed her path. Come back next Wednesday to hear the next chapter of Dreamland New Beginnings, written by Dr. Galen Whitley Keith, narrated by Keith Whitley.